Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. I'm speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas, and today I am continuing my rankings of my 100 favorite albums. Today we're going with number 55 on my list, and number 55 on my list is an album called Crosby and Nash by, you guess it, Crosby and Nash. This came out in the year 2004. It's their fourth studio album together as a duo. Like I said, Crosby and Nash, uh, they don't put a lot of thought into their naming of their albums. I think their first album together was called Crosby Nash. There just wasn't an and in between. So this one is, so it's like, don't confuse Crosby and Nash with Crosby Nash album, the same name. Uh, Same thing with Crosby, Stills and Nash. Their very first album was called Crosby, Stills and Nash. And then they had another album called CSN. So they're just the most uncreative people when it comes to album names for some reason. It's interesting tidbit that I thought when I was looking at all their albums. But yeah, it came out in 2004. Of course, they were first started together as Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and then Young joined, and then Nash and Crosby and Nash went off, and they've done some albums together, just them two. And I had one of their albums on much earlier on my list, called "Whistling Down the Wire," which I really liked. Also, that came out before this one. I think I only have two Crosby and Nash albums actually out of the four that I really liked, and this one definitely is my favorite of theirs. What's interesting is that it was 28 years since the last album that they did together. So between 2004 and the last album, 28 years, almost 30 years. I mean, so it's a long time that they made one together. And this is the last album they made together. And for my feelings, that they are not going to make another album together. So I'm pretty sure this is the last one we're going to see. So you're talking about, 17 years ago this album was made. As they're all getting into probably their 80s, getting close to their 80s, late 70s, I'm sure. All the band members. And so I have a lot of nostalgia almost for this album because I went and saw Crosby, Stills, and Nash in concert in 2004. They came to the Wichita Coliseum, which isn't there anymore, doesn't do concerts anymore, but back in the day, the Wichita Coliseum was kind of the go-to place for concerts. And I was a big Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young fan at that point. I was 21 or something like that. I think at this point, and huge fan of theirs. Love their music. So I was so excited when they came to Wichita, and my dad, my older sister, and I bought tickets and went and saw them, and it was a really great concert. Loved that concert. Sang a lot of their old hits, and then sang a lot of songs off of this album, since they were promoting this album basically on this tour that they were doing. And it was cool to see Stills being with them too. I mean, because it was a Crosby Nash album, but Stills joined for the tour, so they got to do a lot of Crosby, Stills, Nash songs, and then Stills would go off. He'd go off stage when Crosby Nash would do some of the songs off the new album, which of course I didn't know any of these songs at the time. These were all brand new. Of course, I was there just to listen to the old Crosby, Stills, Nash songs from the 60s and 70s I love so much. Anyway, so for me, I heard when I went and saw that concert, except they didn't sing their best song, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, which was the song it's one of my favorite songs of all time. We were all just really waiting for that song, and they went through it, and you're like, okay. Again, towards the end of this concert, where's Sweet Judy Blue Eyes? And they didn't sing it, and then they go off course, and then they come back on for an encore, and I think they sing maybe two songs, and so you're thinking, okay, they must be ending this encore with Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, but no Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, and I think to this day my dad is very upset about that, and I think he considers that a bad concert, because like, how do you not sing your most famous song, the best song you've ever come up with, at your concert, which it baffles me to this day how they did not play that song, the song that you're most looking forward to as an audience member. But anyways, that's just a little something about that concert. But anyways, going to that concert, and Crosby and Nash were doing songs off of this new album, which I guess I don't know if I even knew there was a new album. I just wanted to hear them. and they were singing some of these songs off the new album, and I was like, wow, these are really good songs. I was really impressed by the new material. Even though a lot of times when a band does, they do their hits and then they're like, all right, here's some new stuff. David Spade always had a joke about, when a band says, all right, here's stuff of our new album, they might as well say, okay, here's time for a bathroom break. Like, because people usually don't want to hear songs off your new album. They just want to hear your hits. And so it's like, that's a time to get up, go to the bathroom, go get something to eat, who cares. But for me, the new stuff was just really good. And I was like, wow, I really love the new material. So I immediately bought the CD, I remember, after watching this concert and listening to it and absolutely loving the CD back 17 years ago. And so coming back to this album now and listening to it again, saying if it does still hold up, and of course I have it here at number 55. Still holds up. Is a great album. It's a double album. I didn't write down how many songs, but there's a lot of songs on here as a double album goes. But yeah, just fantastic. Still sounds so good. Crosby and Nash, of course, like I said before, one of my favorite duos of all time, up there with Simon Garfunkel and so forth. Just their voices just mesh together so well. Nash, I love his vocals especially. He has a really good high tenor voice, and Crosby has a little lower tenor voice, I guess. But he's, but their harmonies are just amazing, and a lot of acoustic guitar work in there. I love that kind of folk singing, kind of a folk music, folk rock style music. I absolutely love. Even though they're older, they just sound amazing. I mean, I don't know how quite old they are, but I mean, they're getting up in age, past their prime. That's why it was so amazing when they were doing this new album and the tour. I was like, oh man, it's I was like, I didn't know I'd ever get to see Crosby and Nash, in concerts, Crosby, Stills and Nash. So that was like a dream come true, getting to see them in concert. And like, wow, they're making new music that's just as good as like what they've been making. I mean, it was a really great treat, and it's amazing what they've done with this album. So many years later, they're still absolutely incredible singers and songwriters and all that. And yeah, so absolutely, the album sounds just really great. Interesting, just like tidbit, I guess, from my history with the band, because I've read some books on them. I read Nash's autobiography, I think called Wild Tales, just a year or two ago. And of course it goes in great details of like a lot of stuff, a lot of drugs, lots of women, lots of crimes being committed in the band. Seems like lots of arguments and lots of breakups, and then get back together and break up, and then these people aren't getting along, and then they get back anyway. So there was just a lot of infighting in the group. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and a lot of bad stuff going on. And so you get to a lot of the bad details where you're like, wow, I didn't know all this was going on. Anyways, and he kind of goes into a lot of details of like their personal lives. And it's a great book because, of course, Nash, part of not only Crosby, Stills, Nash, one of my favorite bands, also was part of the Hollies, which is another great 60s British band that I absolutely love, one of my favorite bands of the 60s. So I love hearing all the tales with that, and then with this band, and especially his relationship, because it seems like him and Graham Nash and David Crosby definitely were the closest, or they're very close in the group. Phil and Nash and was felt that Crosby was closer than he was with Stills or Young for sure. And so there was really a great friendship between these two that have gone through a lot of troubling times, especially David Crosby with his huge coke addict, his coke problems. It's amazing that he's still alive. I was like, I just can't believe Dave Crosby's still alive. He's like probably 80 or something. And anyway, so it's interesting seeing that relationship in the book. And then after I read his book, I then read a biography of the band itself, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, that just came out a couple years ago. And it came out after Nash's book, which I thought was interesting because then at the end it comments on the fact that when Nash wrote the book Wild Tales, he told the band, I think, the other band members, that he was writing this book and that he was going to, talk about some, stuff that they did that wasn't good. It might make him look bad. And he's going to get in some, personal stuff. And it sounds like they were okay with it maybe. But then it sounds like after David Crosby, read the book or something like that, or heard about what was written in the book about him, which was a lot of bad stuff about David Crosby, like I said. Um, that he was unhappy that Nash wrote the book or something like that. So it sounds like there was a falling out between Crosby and Nash, and they're no longer friends or really talking to each other, which is too bad. Like I said, because it seemed like a really close, long friendship that they've had, and such great collaboration together on these albums. So it sounds like they're never going to get back together, But like I said, they're getting probably into their 80s, so I don't know if they still sound good or not anymore. Or if they could do concerts anymore, another album anymore. Maybe that's all past them, but definitely is, since it looks like there's a rift between the two, which is too bad, I guess, in a sense. But anyways, yeah, excellent album. So many great songs on here. It's hard to pick a top three. In fact, I will say Nash, Graham Nash is my favorite of the two. He's my favorite probably out of the whole band. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I love his vocal performances. Like I said, he has great high tenor voice, and a lot of songs. His songwriting is very good, and a lot of songs. I think a lot of my favorite songs probably come from him, especially on this album. Like my favorite songs are definitely there's some David Crosby songs that are definitely him leading, and then Graham Nash is leading songs that he wrote, and then they do some songs that are really them together. I don't know, not sure who wrote it, or there's not really a lead singer. They both kind of lead, which is great. But I love when Graham Nash is the lead singer of a song, and probably wrote the song and all that. And his vocal performance has never been better. I mean, as he's getting older here in this album, like I said, I'm not sure how old he is, maybe it's 50s or something, but yeah, his vocals are just absolutely great, like the best I've ever heard from him. And the songs he's producing on this album, some of the best songs he's ever made, I think, in my opinion. So I'm just amazed by how, like, I would love to hear more from him, but this is unfortunately like the last I know of that Graham Nash has done, so which is too bad, because man, he was still doing really great work here. But yeah, I have a lot of honorable mentions. Lay Me Down was the song that I think I heard the most. It seemed like when I saw them on like the Today Show or something like that, or they would play this song, and so it seemed like the kind of almost, there's no like singles really that came off the album. None of them hit the radio or big hits or anything, but it seems like Lay Me Down was the one they would play live if you ever saw them. But yeah, a very good song. I love Half Your Angels was a Graham Nash song. Don't Dig Here is actually more of a rock song. Most of the songs are really more, like I said, more folk style. Don't Dig Here is a more rocking song, but actually pretty good. Guitar works, pretty good on there, and a very catchy song. Penguin and a Palm Tree, very strange name for a song, but excellent Graham Nash song. And then Shining on Your Dreams, another great Graham Nash song on here. But top three, number three, I'm going with Through Here Quite Often. Just maybe the best, most excellent harmony song of the whole album. And I love how like Graham Nash will take like verse one, and then they will harmonize on the chorus, and then David Crosby would take verse two maybe, and they come back on the chorus. And so I love how they trade it off, and then their harmonies together are just so I'm still just amazing. I love the chorus. It's just the harmonies are just so pleasing to the ear. Anyway, so definitely listen to that. And then number two, I got Milky Way Tonight, which is a Graham Nash led song, an acoustic mostly like acoustic strumming song. But yeah, again, Nash's vocals are just really great, and just a very kind of mellow. He's really good at these kind of mellow songs like this. I don't know about anything really. It's about Milky Way. Our galaxy is the Milky Way, and it's about like looking at the stars and and seeing the grand vast of the planet, of the universe. But yeah, and I saw him in concert, and I thought it was amazing in concert when he sang it. Number one favorite song of his, of the group, is Jesus of Rio, which again, another song, it was one of my favorites of the concert when he talked about Jesus of Rio. Of course, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, there's this huge statue of Jesus overlooking like the city, and he has his hands out, and it's this amazing statue, because it's like, I don't know how big, but it's huge, humongous statue. And so the song talks about, and he talks about that before he did the song on stage. he talked about how there's this huge statue, of Jesus in Rio, and that's how he come up with the song. So he tell a little bit story about that, which I didn't know there was a big statue either. That was the first time I heard about it. I was like, "There's a big statue in Rio." I guess I didn't know, but I've seen it. It's pretty impressive. Anyways, but he talks. But the song is again another great. The acoustic guitar work is just amazing. Even this really great acoustic solo in there that I love. Again, another kind of mellow song with Nash's great vocals, good harmonies in the I wouldn't say the chorus, but like towards the end, what do you call it, the bridge or whatever. Really great harmonies with David Crosby. And the song is kind of talking about the poor and the rich. Like there's almost like a divide in the middle of Rio. There's got poor on one side, rich on the other, and kind of about how look to Jesus. So Nash is not a religious person by any means. There's kind of a religious connotation in the song about can we look to Jesus and all be equal. Anyway, so it's a good message I think overall, and good lyrically song to listen to. But yeah, excellent song. I absolutely loved Jesus of Rio on this album. So yeah, so that's my review of Crosby and Nash, number 55 on my list. Please comment if you've heard this album, what you like, what's your favorite songs on it. Love to read that, and thank you for watching this video and for liking it. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel, and just say happy Thanksgiving this week, and I hope everybody's safe out there. Have a good day.